Hey, what's up, everyone? Hold on, I forgot to turn on a light. Hey, so the worst news I've ever been given is when my wife, with three kids, told me she wanted a divorce. Wow, that was by far the worst news that I've ever been given. And it's like actually challenging to talk about it. I'm so, but this is the exercise here. It's an expose your truth challenge. It's supposed to be, vulnerable. It's supposed to also help people that are also in vulnerable positions realize that it's okay to do that. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to ask for help. And this is a safe place to do that and all that good stuff, right? And that's true. So the thing is like I grew up with like part intrinsic to my character is this like diehard loyalty. I am like loyal, loyal, loyal. And I used to say I'm loyal to a fault, and I say no, no such thing. I'm loyal, right? And I also grew up with like cultural and religious conditioning about like not leaving and staying together, keeping the family together no matter what. So both on a virtue side and on sometimes maybe an unhealthy side, there was like nothing but like not there is nothing but like no way would I ever consider divorce. I mean, on the unhealthy side, it's like even if things were miserable, right? But on the healthy side of it is like I'm just this like really intrinsically loyal person, and so when my wife told that to me, it was like, I mean, hurt in a way that is really hard to describe, but I buckled under that, and I really, really, I mean, I was devastated, and I actually froze. I panicked. And, the way she told me, it wasn't final, it wasn't complete, but like even using that word was like so like devastating to me that I went into like a shell. And I went into a shell of and now at this point I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, mind you, right? So there's some humility, there's some like serious shots to my pride going on here. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is happening to me. How could this be happening to me? I'm supposed to be an expert in this," right?" and and boom, so I'm like devastated. I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, I'm frozen, I don't know what to do, and I shut down. I honestly I shut down. I shut down, and thankfully, even though my wife is the one who said this to me, she also hadn't given up completely. And it was maybe she was saying it like as a shot across the bow. It's like it doesn't matter why. But the fact of the matter is she was like, "I'm calling your mentor." And I was like, "What? You're calling? No, you're not." And then I went from being frozen to being angry really quickly. I was like, "He's my mentor. You can't call him. You don't have any right," and yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, "I forbid you." Well, thankfully, she's an empowered woman, and she's an independent adult. And so it didn't matter that I forbid her. She did it anyway. She called him, and he got us into his office right away, and that was really nice of him. And so it was like emergency, like kids outside, outside, like us in there, like crying, like in a really intense day, a really intense moment, trying to like protect the kids from this information, and all that sort of thing that parents have to do sometimes. and and he told us the most powerful kind of pivoting transformative advice that I've ever heard in my life, right? And what he said is that he said, "I want you to stop talking about your problems for 90 days. You need to make a commitment to me. You're going to promise to me that you're going to stop talking about your problems for 90 days." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'm not following yet." And he's like, "Then you're going to do these things. You're going to do this, this, and this, and it's more than we can get into here. You're going to do this, this, and this for those 90 days. And then at the end of those 90 days, I guarantee you, if you do not talk about your problems and you do not argue and you do not process, at the end of those 90 days, and you do these other things, at the end of those 90 days, 90% of the things that you were fighting about, that you thought you need to fight about, that you think you need to be right about, it will all disappear. 90% will disappear, and the 10% that is left, you will now have the foundation of love and trust reestablished so that you can actually process it and work through it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was desperate. I'll do anything, right? So I was like, I'll do it. Let's do it. I'll go for it. We're gonna stick to it. We're gonna do it. My wife was like, okay, let's do it. She didn't really want to divorce. She was like, she's a committed, loyal person also, and we have 3 kids, and like it was a nightmare, and so we're like, we'll do it. We'll do it. And guys, it worked. It fucking worked. Not only did it work, but things are we're 10 times better, 100 times better, 1,000 times better. And and it clicked. Everything from my training, from my own personal like psychological and spiritual and emotional development, from my own training as a licensed marriage and family therapist, from thousands of hours of clinical experience with other clients, through like my own kind of unique way. I'm not really a typical therapist at all. And like my own, and I, all my studies and the books that I read and the articles and this, I've been immersed in this stuff for 20 years. It all clicked. It all clicked into, and then I started adding things in and making things, and and adding to what my mentor told me, and I realized like what he was actually telling me was basically is like, if you create the chemical foundation, if you build the whole like the hormones of love and trust, like oxytocin and and all these things that like, and then the past will heal itself, the wounds will heal themselves, and you will have a foundation, and most of the stuff that you thought was a problem is gone, it disappears, and the stuff that is left you can actually work through because now you're reconnected, and all this, it was brilliant, right? And then from that I was able to like take all these different pieces and these components, and everything from my career just clicked into place, and I was able to create the Relating Revolution program. And now it's like, and now I'm like, that's the only way I want to work with people. I'm like, I'm not going to do the typical couples counseling thing. I'm not going to do the typical venting talk therapy thing. It's just like, we're going to do, and so that now is like a 90-day, it's like a 90 to 100-day program for actually building the chemicals of love, trust, connection, and joy, doing things that we can actually do such that the problems no longer exist. They're no longer problems. Forgiveness, healing, resolution is all included. And then we're reconnected, where the love and trust is reestablished. That foundation for a life worth loving is reestablished, so that, yeah, of course, we still have stuff that we work through, and my wife and I still, but we haven't now have that thing that everyone says, and the problem is communication. Well, maybe, but we're not even able to communicate until we have this foundation, this neurological, biological, and chemical foundation of love and trust established. Now we can communicate and say, hey, this isn't working for me. And it's like, and those adjustments, those 10% of things that still need to be adjusted or worked out, we can actually work out because our brains are back like to normal and healthy, and we're no longer hurting each other and fighting, and we're no longer stonewalling and defending and attacking and protecting ourselves from each other and doing all these things that end up happening in marriages. And so that's the worst news that's ever been given to me, which was genuinely awful, and I had no idea that it was going to result in what it resulted in. It was as awful as it gets when it was delivered to me, and it turned into some of the best news of my life, because now it's like it's a real contribution that I have to offer to the world, something that can really go in and practically change things in the lives of families, the lives of children that are exposed to their parents fighting, like the benefit, the people that are getting separated now in the current cohort. There are 2 couples that were separated at the beginning of the cohort, living in separate homes. Now they're living together. Now their families are united. Like, that is like the ripple effect on that benefit, on that change, on that growth, on that healing is like incredible. Just like pinch me. I can't believe it. And so the worst news of my life ended up being some of the best news of my life. And sometimes it goes that way. All right. So starting a 5-day free Facebook event that is going to be starting on February 15th. The link is in the description. Check that out. And that's not like a major commitment, but it'll give you a good kind of taste of what it's like to work with me, and like good question and answers, and 20 minutes a day. It's not a huge commitment. But it's a nice taste, and it's a free thing, and hopefully it can help you whether or not we work together in the future. Beyond that, it's going to be valuable in and of itself. And I tend to I have a habit of over serving and giving more than is expected of me, because I'm so excited and passionate about this stuff. So I can't help but sound like a car salesman a little bit, but trust me, it comes from the heart. It's real. All right. All right. I love you all. Hope you have a beautiful day. Talk to you soon.